my God, why would you go there?
I don't know.
I don't think they have yet. So
they're just so human.
They're very human.
So impressed.
Yeah.
And horrified.
Yes.
Welcome back, everyone. This is the Chemist Confessions podcast. I'm Victoria.
And I'm Gloria.
And this is a human conversation on all the skincare science we talk about on the daily. Today, we are talking all about hyperpigmentation.
It's going to be a dense one, guys.
Yeah. Basically, it's fall, which means we're getting less sun, kind of. I don't know. I feel like LA
is an outlier. I think most of you are getting a little less sun.
And yeah, it's actually a great time to start getting more intensive about hyperpigmentation if this is a concern of yours. So what better time? But first things first, we're going to do a little bit of nice words.
Yep. The first one is for the gold standard. And this is our 30% glycolic acid exfoliator. The title is So Effective and Love the Versatility.
Woo-hoo.
The Chemist Confession book/podcast was my gateway into skincare over a year ago.
Aww.
And this product's my first from the line. I have dry skin and am typically tackling pigmentation and fine lines. But in the summer, with lots of waterproof SPF, sweat, humidity, I seem to always get some breakouts and congestion despite my best efforts.
I feel that.
Gold Standard, oh my God, especially the SPF test we did this summer. Gold Standard has been amazing at treating all my concerns without causing any sensitivity. I particularly appreciate its versatility, using it as a 10-minute mask or adding a drop into my moisturizer depending on how my skin feels. I will admit I wasn't sure how effective the short contact therapy would be as someone who's used to leave-on serums, but it seems to be even more effective at clearing congestion and treating dark spots with even less irritation than a leave-on serum. Had purchased a mini and will now be getting the full size.
Hey, I love everything about this review. Also because, yeah, I think it's definitely takes a little bit of learning to feel like a temporary 10-minute step could be helpful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But it is no joke. That's actually my preferred way of using it most of the time as well. So really glad that, this person found that Gold Standard really worked out for them. It's not for the faint of heart, but right now you can, for any order over $50 on our website, you can get this mini for free, or you can just pick up the mini to see if it's right for you. I also love that this person shared a lot about their routine. It's definitely an active-packed routine. There's a lot you can take away from her description. So thank you so much.
I also have one other comment is I really get a kick out of people who let us know that they're using it multiple ways in our products. I feel like we've liberated someone.
Yeah. I think the whole entire exfoliation line is kind of our sleeper line.
Yeah.
Because we struggle a lot with this is the wait there's more line.
Yeah.
And we struggle a lot with communication. I think we call it a treatment. And then for a little while we called it a booster, and then a mask, because you can use it in these different ways. Yeah. But and for the long time, whatever you call it, you're like, well, if I call it a mask, well, people know that you can also use it as a booster. But if I call it a booster, do people know that you can also use it as a mask?
Yes,
struggles.
A tool. And then people are like, I don't know what that is at all. So but I think that's always been our goal. So when people just take that one step to try something different and try to use it in a couple different ways, and I'm like, yes, they get it. Yeah. So anyways, awesome review. The second one is about our experiment minis kit. The title is Perfect Starter Kit. This person writes, I've been curious about CC for a while and they did not disappoint. Didn't find a single dud in the pack.
Yes.
Thank God. My favorites are the Specialist and Aquafix. The only thing I wish they had was an oil cleanser. I know Blank Slate is meant to take off quite a bit, but my skin doesn't feel totally clean until I've double cleansed at night. Fair. Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, so, I think she captures everything.
Yeah, we love our minis kit. It's actually the third generation of such kit. This one is probably my favorite because with the inclusion of the cleanser and the exfoliator of your choice, it really feels like a pretty complete routine.
Totally. Yeah, and she's absolutely right. Blank Slate is that it's meant to be that gentle gel cleanser that we feel like hits the best sweet spot of gentle and cleansing power. So totally makes sense that for some it's more of a better double cleanse than I guess
the one and
done. It just depends on what your routine is. What are you doing through the day? The type of makeup you're using, and now tinted sunscreens that I'm starting to realize. So
are the devil.
Yeah. So yeah, this is great. All right. And we have one last nice words.
This one is possibly my favorite review as of late. This one is for the baby steps, which we consider to be the foil product to the gold standard.
Yes.
And the title is The Chemist Made a Liar Out of Me.
We didn't mean it. I promise.
And the review goes, I had publicly declared exfoliating acids my mortal enemy after having bad experiences with even the most mild mandelic lactic and even PHA treatments. Wash off, leave on, it didn't matter. My skin hissed. Baby steps at 30% PHA and 15% AHA didn't sound so baby to me.
Yeah, that's fair.
I thought the chemists were nuts. And
Yeah,
we are. That's not your imagination. But I was buying the minis kit and had to select an exfoliating booster, so I chose this one without actually intending to use it. But I couldn't help myself. And you know what? Putting a booster drop into my serum every other night went exceptionally well. And that frequency means a tube will last a long time. To sum up, the Chemist made me look bad in the best way possible.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and that's actually part of the concept behind this whole line and why we really insist on creating something that can be used multiple ways. Is sometimes it's not that you haven't found the ingredient that works for you. It's you haven't found ingredients that's done in a way that works for your skin. And everyone's skin is different. There's no way we can create one product that can be only used one way that will suit everyone's skin type.
Yeah, totally. And yeah, I just feel like I think this is exactly why we had to, when we were thinking of baby steps, we ran a hatchery because we knew that this was a category of people who have been burnt before.
Literally.
Yeah. And also, but at the same time, I think there's this perception of, if it's very gentle, it's not going to do anything. Yeah. And that's actually, it's fair. That a lot of times there are products out there just, they're more catering to the sensitivity and not enough about actually treating, you know? So that, I don't know. I feel like it's awesome.
And I remember we ran a hatchery or incubator study on 2 versions of this, one with lactic acid forward, one with gluconolactone forward. And I remember from the study, we got more comments on the lactic acid group for it being very effective. Yeah. But we also got more comments on it still being irritating. Yes. So that's totally why we chose the PHA forward version.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, this is awesome. Like we said, we want to thank everyone who does leave us these reviews. We highly recommend that if you are curious about our products, to definitely check out the review section, because every one of these customers actually leaves details about their actual routine and skin type, which we find to be so helpful for you, the curious user. So yeah, and we don't pay for them. So, yeah.
And if you're listening to our podcast, please use the code PODCASTSHIP for free shipping on any order. This also works on express shipping. So, so yeah, thank you guys so much.
All right. It's time to get into the meats.
The meats. Okay, it's hyperpigmentation o'clock already. Ooh. And it's going to be a dense one. You know, when I was putting this together, I was like, man, we've done this so much. Is there more to talk about? There's a lot more to talk about. So first things first, we have to start with biology review. Yes. But because we've done this a lot, we're going to go over it really quickly.
We're blitzing.
Yes. And you can read more to get a refresher on our blog for sure. So pigmentation can be caused by a lot of things. And the external aggressors like the sun, your hormones, irritation,
acne.
Yeah. All these can kick off melanin production. And this melanin production, because of these external aggressors, might be a lot more hyperactive than it really should be. And this means your melanocytes is being very hyper, making a lot of pigments. And the way these cells make pigments is it has these tentacles, these finger-like tentacles. And there's a protein, there's an enzyme there called tyrosinase that dictates how fast melanocytes create these melanin. And once they made it, it goes through the fingers and it gets transferred up to the upper layers. And that's when this melanin becomes visible. This is a very normal process that gives each of us our unique skin tone. But when it becomes hyperactive, that is when you get your dark spots and kind of unevenness all around.
Yeah, totally. And so with that in mind, you understand, hopefully you guys hear that there's different steps in this process. Gloria calls out tyrosinase because that is a big focal point in skincare actives. A lot of them are all about curbing this cascade that happens in this kickstart from tyrosinase that signal the melanin deposits. So that's why we call that out in particular. There's also one step that will be looked at is also that kind of they call it melanosome. This is that melanin package deposit. That transfer, there's some focus on that as well. But yeah, with all these steps, we can immediately tell you that it's going to take a family of stuff to try to tackle different parts of this process to really just do anything to help. Yeah.
I know a lot of you will be searching for your particular type of hyperpigmentation or pigmentation issue. So one of the classic is you'll look up terms like melasma, sunspots, or PIH. The one thing that I do want to highlight here is that it doesn't matter what type of hyperpigmentation you might have. The topical treatments remain largely the same.
That's a really good point.
But yeah, we should touch on some of these terms in more detail.
Yeah. So I think it can get pretty confusing, especially I feel like melasma and sunspots. I think people when you start Googling, they all start feeling like mixed together. Melasma we would consider to be probably the most severe of hyperpigmentation scenarios. And sunspots are really more of those like freckles. These are like smaller pigments that typically occur after a lot of sun. And they really hone in on the sunspots because there are some that will fade once you have less sun, but there are some that are a lot more permanent. So that's one realm. And then you also have your PIH, or post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation. If you start dabbling in this realm, you'll also start hearing about PIE, which is post-inflammatory erythema. If you're wondering what the difference is, erythema is linked to inflammation. And this often gets tied together for acne individuals. Hate to say it, with acne, you're usually getting a blend of PIE and PIH.
Yay.
I know, so fun. But PIH is truly the more hyperpigmentation focus here, whereas PIE, you're really looking at that to do resolve over time a little bit easier. But honestly, it's a real combination of the three: PIH, PIE, and some scarring. Sorry. Yeah.
Yep. This is a really, really quick overview. Definitely check out our book or the blog for more.
Yeah.
But for this podcast, we're going to dive right into shopping. So
because it's a lot.
Yep.
And it requires a bit of a breakdown.
Yeah. I actually, for this episode, sometimes when we start putting episodes together, we start with the papers. Has there been anything new since we last did a deep dive in the subject? Is there something we don't know about? This one, I went straight to shopping. And that is why we decided that, okay, it's very confusing out there. We just decoded 2 hodgepodge products in the previous episodes. And we're here to tell you that the products out there get a lot crazier than that. But if you're really serious about tackling that hyperpigmentation, if you've been at it for a while, you're starting to realize that it is very stubborn. It is very hard. You might turn your attention to fancy schmancy, very expensive clinical brand products like your Skinceuticals and SkinMedica. A lot of these brands do come with really interesting clinical studies.
Yeah.
So for Meet Part 1, we're going to take a closer look at each of these famous clinical products, clinical tests.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, we got to start with SkinMedica's. Lightera has been around for a long time.
It's probably one of those like OG,
Definitely.
pigmentation serums.
For sure. And to be fair, rightfully so. They've actually done a ton of work behind it. We should say, first of all, what is Lightera? It's a $160 hyperpigmentation serum that has actives like tranexamic, phenylethyl-resorcinol, niacinamide peptides, and phytic acid.
Yep. And I do want to call out, this is probably what people think of when you say hyperpigmentation, SkinMedica. Okay, Lightera. And it's kind of a cult favorite. This is probably the entry point for anyone venturing into like higher price tier hyperpigmentation serums. I want to call out their other serum, which is their TNS, which is their growth factor serum with a lot extract. The growth factor here is their proprietary ingredient that is really the star here. This clocks in at a whopping $295. It's their crown jewel in the anti-aging realm, but I'm bringing up TNS because some of SkinMedica's most interesting data actually comes from using Lightera and TNS in a combined system. So I should mention that these products have been tested individually by themselves, but I do find their combo test to be the most interesting. So first up, they tested a 4-product SkinMedica hyperpigmentation serum system. This one contains both TNS and Lightera. They call it the HQ-free or hydroquinone-free system versus a whopping 7-product Obagi Nuderm system. They are very ballsy. They straight up called out, yeah, we're coming after you, Obagi. And Obagi's Nuderm system does contain hydroquinone.
Yep.
They did the test for 12 weeks. This one is a smaller study. So there's 16 people in the SkinMedica group and 20 people in the Obagi group. And after 12 weeks, both were successful in reducing overall hyperpigmentation, mottle pigmentation area.
If you're wondering what mottle pigmentation is, that is kind of this, it's usually over a wider area of the skin. And mottled, you want to think of it as, I'm so sorry, but the word is like more speckled, but the idea would be a general area of that kind of like pigmentation. I'm sorry. There's not good adjectives for this at all.
You can find the hyperpigmentation, the lingo is
very brutal.
Yeah, holy
not
crap.
Yeah. Anyways, yes.
Yep. So the mottle pigmentation areas decreased. Severity index was also down. General global photo aging has improved. The Obagi group has also has reduction to roughness. Overall, there is no significant difference between the groups in terms of effectiveness and tolerability.
I think so. One of the things I think is kind of cool about it is one, hydroquinone is the gold standard for this category. So I think it's great that they did a head-to-head. If you're wondering, okay, we glossed over the 4 products. The other 2 products is a cleanser and a sunscreen. Hence why we find that the important focal point here is Lytera and TNS. But overall, I would say promising. Now, I do also think we should address, a lot of times Gloria and I don't like to tout regimens because it really feels almost like kind of gross. That it's like you got to buy into a whole system to get results.
This is a $455 system.
There you go. But I feel like with hyperpigmentation and kind of how we were talking about how you have to tackle multiple steps and ingredients have to tackle multiple aspects of pigmentation. I kind of get it for this realm that usually you need a regimen to really, I don't know, make a difference.
Yeah, for sure. And I think this is, again, the study size is small, but what I really like about these really higher level clinical brands is there's a lot of benchmarks. So you can kind of assess
100%,
how it works. So hydroquinone is a little controversial. It's known to cause some side effects like flaking, irritation, and also the halo effect on some skin types. And so this is a great alternative compared to a hydroquinone system. And you might not have the access to a prescription required type of regimen anyway.
Totally.
But they didn't stop here. They kept going. They're like, well, okay, this bench is cute and all, but we are gonna, we want to shine the light on our system. So they did another clinical test. This one also uses their facial cleanser, a TNS essential, the TNS serum, Lytera, their rejuvenating moisturizer, and their daily physical defense sunscreen. So a full-on SkinMedica system. This is a whopping 24-week clinical.
Yeah, you thought 12 weeks was longer than normal. 24 weeks. Very good.
And this time was 72 individuals. They recruited people with moderate to severe photo damage. And what I really like about the study is the duration. Most studies are 8 weeks. Hyperpigmentation studies is when you kind of stretch into that 12-week zone. 24 weeks is incredibly rare. And something that they are very proud of that they call out as well is you don't see a plateau.
Yes.
You can see the chart we're going to put up here is through the entire duration of the study across parameters like overall hyperpigmentation, photo damage, fine lines, coarse lines, and skin tone evenness, and even tactile roughness, which I find that term to be kind of humorous. It starts improving at 4 weeks, but continues to do so throughout the 24 weeks.
Yeah, I think that's so important. And I think sometimes we always think in the 4 to 8 week realm, and then people start wondering like, okay, I've done all I can with my product. It's time to move on.
Same skin cycle time.
Yeah. And that's not how that works at all. And I think the other thing I wanted to highlight, and I don't know if Laura would agree with me, is like, if you look at the 4 week time point and you look at the percent change, I almost want to bet you're not actually visibly able to see those results. You know, like I think that it's going to feel like you're almost like, it feels mystical. And so I think that's why, you know, giving it enough time, especially in this category, having that much patience is so important.
Yeah, that's such a good point. If you look at just overall hyperpigmentation at the 4 week time point, it's like what, at 6%?
Yeah, nothing.
It honestly feels like if you sleep extra well, you're gonna feel like your skin looks a little better.
Or you did an AHA mask and then you're like, oh, that worked better than my hyperpigmentation product. You're like, no, like that's not how that works.
Yeah, and by week 24, that percent improvement comes in at over 20%, which I believe is more visible by that point.
Yeah, I think this data is super cool. It makes it a really good case for just how long you have to use something to see and get that improvement. Yeah.
Yep. So that's SkinMedica's rather pricey but well-tested system.
And why it's been pricey and been around for as long as it has.
Yeah,
for sure.
And SkinMedica is one of the few brands that we don't see regimen studies as much.
Yeah, that's true.
In hyperpigmentation studies, they usually do give them a gentle cleanser and a sunscreen, but usually just test the one product. So I thought it's like, that's kind of neat. They do have tests on these individual products, but I think it's cool to show the whole routine as a whole.
Also, yeah, because you want the results.
Yep, exactly.
All right.
Next, Skinceuticals.
Yes.
We got an awkward one. This first study is on the advanced pigment corrector.
That was around when Gloria and I were at L'Oreal.
Many moons ago.
R.I.P.
Yes. It's awkward because advanced pigment corrector has been discontinued.
Yes.
But we still want to talk about this test because it is a very interesting test.
Yeah.
This was a 12-week clinical with 82 people, with 41 in each group. They applied the test cream twice daily, which is advanced pigment corrector, RIP. And then in the other test group, they benched against a 4% hydroquinone and a 0.025% tretinoin applied nightly.
Juicy. So, now, is that a combined product or one after the other?
One after the other.
Wow.
So
pretty good.
So a pretty aggressive regimen. And if you have hyperpigmentation, you go to a derm, this is likely the combination they might prescribe you. And this is a prescription required type of routine. So after 12 weeks, the prescription side had tolerability issues. But in terms of the efficacy in hyperpigmentation, the two cells had parity in terms of even skin tone, decreased spot intensity, decreased spot size, and improved overall pigmentation. And they have a pretty impressive before and after picture for the side that uses the test product.
Yeah. All I can say is RIP. And if you're curious about what's in advanced pigment corrector, it's typically the blend that they had was I don't want to say it's proprietary, but more in their realm is hydroxyphenoxypropionic acid, ellagic acid, yeast extract, and sal acid. So that was the cocktail of ingredients.
Yeah, ellagic acid has great data, but you don't see it a lot because it has a ton of formulation issues.
Another one. Usually the best ones have skeletons in the closet.
Yep, of course. So you might think, wow, this is a great product with great results. It just kind of fizzled out of the market.
I did want to add a point, and I think maybe just a review for people who haven't heard this before, but cocktails and the cocktail effect is important here.
Yeah.
It's also why, mysterious blends, they sound like great things, but you really don't know what happens until you test them. And sometimes what happens is when you put these blends together, you get the cocktail effect where 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2, it equals 3 or 4. But you really don't know until you have studies like this, which is why Gloria has categorized this in its own realm of like clinical high-priced pigmentation products, because the data, you wouldn't know anything at all unless you had the data.
Yep,
so yeah,
for sure.
Didn't want to mention that.
Cool. But in the ashes of an advanced pigment corrector comes
a phoenix rising.
Discoloration defense. That is a product that is still being sold in the Skinceuticals line. This one features a lot of familiar ingredients. We have 3% tranexamic acid, 1% kojic acid, 5% niacinamide, and 5% hepes, which is their mild cell turnover helper. They actually put it through 2 different studies. The first one is a 12-week clinical with 50 people. People mild to moderate. This is important because the other one's moderate to severe. Facial discoloration with stubborn dark spots, post-acne marks, and uneven skin tone. This is twice daily use with sunscreen. And in that study, they had 60% average improvement. I really like that because sometimes clinicals will highlight like
up to.
Yeah, exactly. The up to lingo is very tricky. So 60% average improvement is pretty impressive because 60% you can already expect it to be visually perceptible versus like a 10%. And then also 59 average improvement in appearance of skin discoloration, 81% average improvement in appearance of post-acne marks, which is very impressive, and 59% average improvement in the appearance of even skin tone. And then the numbers are great. And then they put it through another clinical study. This one's also 12 weeks. 12 weeks is spelled 233KS.
Yes, I saw it. 12 teaks.
12 teaks. Also a 12-week study with 51 people, but this time with people with darker skin.
I love that. I think that's awesome.
Fitzpatrick 5 to 6, which is definitely on the highest end of the Fitzpatrick scale, with signs wow. With signs for skin discoloration, hyperpigmentation, both PIH and melasma twice daily. And they were also able to observe a 30% reduction post-blemish marks at 12 weeks.
I really love that they did this because oftentimes darker skin types get forgotten.
Yes.
And the behavior of hyperpigmentation is slightly different. And so I think it's very cool to understand how that works for this category as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So I really love the 2 studies of the discoloration defense. Does it feel like a proper replacement for advanced pigment corrector? I don't know. It seems like it works really well, but I also love that advanced pigment corrector was benched against a very aggressive target with hydroquinone and tretinoin.
I know. R.I.P.
R.I.P.
I did want to say one thing to keep in mind about this category that we should call out is a lot of them are using it twice daily. And I think sometimes people feel like serum should only be used at night. But with hyperpigmentation, it's like, no, as much as possible.
You wake up, you put it on. You go to sleep, you put it on.
Yes, exactly. So this, I think, and we'll talk about this more when we actually talk about routines, is that your daytime routine is a lot fuller than the average everyone else's routines.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
One last thing to call out on discoloration defense, Skinceuticals does mention on their website with that lovely 1% kojic. It's not your imagination. Your serum's turning black on you. So if you get it, use it up rapidly.
Yes. Cool, dark place, vampire settings. Do what you can.
Do not hoard.
Yeah, don't buy bundled deals because I do feel like sometimes you'll get that with Black Friday and whatnot. And this is definitely one of those, like, you don't want to do that for sure. Cool.
Last but not least, we have Alastin's Illuminate Brightening Serum.
I gotta be honest, I'll see this in med spas and then I'll see the price and I'm like baffled. But lo and behold, testing.
This one is $168. It has tranexamic acid and niacinamide. It's not your imagination. Tranexamic acid and niacinamide is a lot of stuff. But it also has their proprietary, they call it their Path 3 technology.
Yeah,
I don't know what that really means, but it's their technology. Wow. Okay. And this one, they also had a study that benched against hydroquinone.
Very cool.
Yep. So it's a smaller study, about 20 subjects per cell. On one cell, they used the Illuminate serum twice a day. And then on the other cell, they used 4% hydroquinone once a day. In just this small study of about 20 per study cell, the hydroquinone already has 5 cases of adverse side effects. Just to give you an idea of what are the likelihood of you experiencing some sort of mehness from hydroquinone.
Yeah. And so they looked at things like dyschromia, which is really just that uneven skin tones. Honestly, can also be chalked up to hyperpigmentation spots. Tone, clarity, evenness, radiance, and texture. They also we'll share the before and after here of using their Alastin product on skin over time. But yeah, all in all, definitely makes a case for using this product.
Yeah. So that kind of sums up the 3 types of studies we've seen out there with in this category.
Yeah.
A couple things I want to point out. One is all of them have done studies that compare that bench against standards like hydroquinone, like prescription level hydroquinone. Yes. And that to me is, when they charge you $160 northwards of $160 serum, this is the type of studies that honestly, I think people should expect to see.
And justifies the price tag.
Yeah. And if you see things in this price tag and you don't see that kind of study, then we'd say it's not worth it.
No, definitely not. Just because of also think about it this way, the amount you're about to pay, the timeline of how you're going to be using this, it's definitely an investment.
Yes.
So it better come with the right set of data to prove that. Yeah.
So of the 3, which one would you buy?
Oh, God. This is hard. Okay. If I was being serious. And it's not a recession.
It is not. Yeah. No. Budget is not the issue here. This is investment.
I gotta be honest. I think I am just so curious about the Lytera duo. But holy crap, am I crying?
Yes, exactly. I'm
so curious.
I think I agree.
I don't know. It's painful, but Man, I will say my routine is on point for 6 months.
Yeah.
I'm not messing around.
If I'm already spending the money, you bet I'm using it twice a day on the dot.
On the dot. I am purposely getting out of bed at night if I'm just lazy, and I'm definitely putting that shit on.
I think I agree with you. Like, I'm like, wow, this routine. I'll do something.
I'm typically one that's very skeptical of the general, like, I don't know, stem cells, fibroblast, like all of that. I just feel like there's too much mystery, but I feel like I'd have to give it a shot.
Yeah, for sure. Case. And I think that's like, for people who've been listening to podcasts for a long time, you'll know that sometimes we can be very critical.
Very.
And kind of mean.
We try not to, but yes.
Yeah, to very expensive products. And this is why, when it comes to the price tag, this is the type of stuff that we want to see. So yeah, we hope this was helpful.
Yeah, this is just one category.
Yeah.
And me part 2 will be going through the rest.
Yep, and it's really time to take a break.
Yes! Take a break. All right, it's time to break it up. It's Animal Fun Fact Corner.
All right. Today we are taking a break from the menaces.
Darn.
They're probably gonna make a comeback for the other episodes, but nothing is pooping on your ceiling, on your roof, and causing
animal
holes.
Assholes today. All right, fair enough.
Today.
All right, hit me.
Today we're gonna talk about a very average looking fish. It's the sheepshead fish.
Sounds like my mom has steamed this fish before.
Yeah, she might have. It is edible. Okay. You'll see it's a medium-sized fish. It's like 20 to 30 inches long.
Okay.
It has very distinct stripes on the fish. It's all over the place. It's not an endangered fish at all.
Cool.
You can find it off the coast of the Atlantic. Yep.
No sad story here.
Yeah, no sad stories here. You can find it all the way from like off the coast of New York all the way down to like Brazil.
Nice.
It's very... Sheepshead, Long Island. Is it Long Island? One of the towns is actually named after this fish.
Oh.
Yep.
Cool.
It is an edible fish. I will say, if the stats show that people are fishing a little bit less for that purpose, for food purposes, but it is fairly common. These fish eat oysters, clams, barnacles, crustaceans, so a lot of things.
Stuff.
Yes. A lot of crunchy stuff for shells.
Very hard.
So how do they crush these shells? I am so glad you asked.
You're right. Yeah, how do they crush the shell?
With their very human-looking teeth.
Holy crap.
Yeah, these fish have gone viral because they straight up have human teeth. They look like...
I almost can't look at this too closely. Holy shit.
They literally look like they stole your grandma's dentures and like put them in their mouth. When I say they have human teeth, they look exactly like human teeth.
They look like this.
So in a way, maybe that's why they're less popular now on your dinner dish, because who wants your food to smile back at you?
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's it. They're disturbingly human. And what I find really funny is that you have ones that straight up have like marketable pearly whites, like a full set of straight teeth. And what I find really humorous is that they also have dental problems that look very human. So I also pull
braces.
I also pull an image, with of a fish that, I don't know if the female fishies find this attractive, but it does look like it needs braces, and it might be missing a tooth or two.
Can you imagine if I didn't know that this fish existed, and you go fishing and you hook it and you unhook it and you like, what do you do?
And the fish is just like, hi. You're probably just like, ah. So funny story is apparently these fish are pretty smart, so they are good at stealing bait from the hook. It's actually a lot of people fish them for game because they're tricky, and they make for really fun pictures after you
selfies.
Catch them. Yeah.
Have they ever used the tooth as a human replacement?
Oh my god, why would you go there?
I don't know.
I don't think they have yet. So
they're just so human.
They're very human.
So impressed.
Yeah.
And horrified.
Yes. They have a lot more in there, like the depth of their mouth. So it's like a full jaw. Their whole jaw can use to crush
if it bit you.
yeah, there.
Holy crap.
I think someone actually looked at the enamel structure and said, yeah, it's a lot like humans. So Victoria has put this idea out there of using it as human dental replacements. You heard it from here first.
Expensive.
Yeah, dental is expensive. Go hook in Long Island and see if you can get lucky and save a few bucks on dentures.
Can't wait to tell your fishing loving husband.
Hey, honey, I think I need a new front tooth.
There's a market here we're capitalizing on.
It can survive in these are ocean fish. These are marine fish. They can survive high salinity levels. So these teeth are probably very sturdy. Just saying.
Well, that's the stuff of nightmares.
Yeah, so next time you go fishing in the Atlantic, if your fish smiles back with you, that's it's probably the sheep's head.
It's a sheep's head. Cool. Yep. Very cool. Very some of these are very unfortunate.
I think it's the janky ones that make me laugh the most.
God damn. All right. Cool. Yay.
Sheep's head fish.
Sheep's head fish with human smiles. All right. Time to get back.
We're back.
Into Me Part 2.
Me Part 2.
And we're going to talk about the rest of the hyperpigmentation landscape.
You might think, yeah, no, $168, I'm going to pass. And
fair.
Yep.
I totally understand.
Yep.
Those are tough times.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So you can find hyperpigmentation products across a wide range of price points. But what we find is that it comes with a lot of confusion as to what the heck you're buying.
Yeah. Gloria found a really good article from Allure. The title is The 19 Best Dark Spot Correctors to Treat and Prevent Hyperpigmentation. If you dabbled, they have some of the ones we talked about, like Skinceuticals Discoloration Defense. Then you start looking at these and you start getting confused. You got like Paula's Choice 10% azelaic acid booster. You've got the Hyperskin product we talked about last time. You got Neutrogena's 20% vitamin C serum capsule. It just feels like just every product could possibly help your hyperpigmentation scenario.
Yep.
And honestly, it's probably not the best way to go about it.
Yeah, from the list, I think the one that made me go, okay, I think it's time to break down the shopping landscape is the Ordinary's mandelic acid product, 10% mandelic. And I'm like, okay. If you're buying a single active product like the mandelic acid and expecting it to cure hyperpigmentation, it is not working out for you.
Yes, totally agree.
All right. So we broke down the landscape in a couple categories and a couple of shopping tips in general. And the first thing that we'd say you have to watch out for is niacinamide.
Totally.
Niacinamide is a great ingredient. It is multifunctional. We've talked about it a gazillion times. And it is one of those hyperpigmentation actives that works on a very different pathway than all your other active ingredients. So that's why it's a favorite.
Yeah. It's unique in that it's one of the few that actually wants to intercept that melanin deposit. So this is post-tyrosinase scenario. And somehow, it's that's what makes it really great addition to the hyperpigmentation routine. But it's just one step. Yep. And so having it in 8 different products in your routine, not necessarily the goal here.
Yeah, and just to give you guys an idea of how prolific this guy is in this realm, you can find it in First Aid Beauty. The topicals Faded. Drunk Elephant's Be Goldie has it. Skinceuticals Discoloration Serum has it. It's in everything.
Yeah.
So the suggestion here is great. Definitely include it in your routine, especially if your skin reacts well to it. Yeah. Beware of overlayering and beware of just overdoing this ingredient.
I think also because of, like we said, it's Chemist's favorite. It's very versatile. I would never actively seek out a product that's really heavy on niacinamide.
Yeah.
Kind of what we were talking about in the decode with Hodgepodge. A lot of these products are very niacinamide heavy. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I would not, personally for me, not want to spend a whole step that's like catering to like a heavy niacinamide active load.
Yeah, that's
just
such
because
a good point.
You're going to have probably like 3 or 4 that will have niacinamide in it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right. The next ingredient to watch out for are your AJs. So your mandelic acid, your glycolic, and your lactic. A lot of times in this category, they might be just hanging out. So the Hyperskin has one called the Face and Glow AHA mask that actually calls it out. But then you have Alpha Red Overnight Cream, Murad Rapid Dark Spot Corrector. These all contain a certain level of glycolic acid, but you might miss it. You might not notice that it's there.
That's a really good point. And also, if you're used to having AHAs in your product, you probably don't need one. But there is a realm of these where glycolic acid is the champion active that's blended with other actives. And so, and we should mention AHAs are helpful in the routine. They help speed up cell turnover. They help, and with that kind of bring all that pigmentation up to the surface. And so it kind of helps speed that process along. So it is a good step to have. But yeah, no, that's a good point.
Yeah. So our suggestion here would be, let's say you want to try a Mura Rapid Dark Spot Corrector that has glycolic acid, some level of glycolic acid already. Usually these are at lower level so then you can use it every night.
Yeah.
But if you already have an exfoliating toner or serum, you probably don't need that exfoliating toner or serum anymore, because then you're just stacking on too much chemical exfoliant. In the case of something like a Murad, I'll probably use it daily and still use that like once a week rinse off mask to give it a boost.
Yeah.
But that's enough.
Also, we should mention that sometimes you will see like there's hyperpigmentation data with using glycolic acid, but it's at much higher concentrations. So I think that's also kind of the tricky part of AHAs is there's levels to the benefits you'll get. And that's why for AHAs, you'll hear about the home peels or even just the in-office peels and how that can help hyperpigmentations because those concentrations are so much higher.
Yep.
Refer back to our AHA episodes. All right.
Last but not least, the single ingredient for heroes. This is called category temporary expectations. And part of why like sometimes like we have the biggest issue with this category is it gets so confusing.
Yeah.
So you might find azelaic acid as a single ingredient for a hero. Or like if you read the Allure article, you'll be like, oh, mandelic acid, that's cool. This has 10% mandelic acid. So it's like things like that. Or niacinamide. There are products out there that basically just have a butt ton of niacinamide.
Butt ton.
Certified chemist unit. This is where, like Victoria mentioned, hyperpigmentation is a problem that you need a family of ingredients to take care of. So this is kind of a category you can temper your expectations a little bit. In the case of azelaic acid, you need to use it at fairly high levels. And like 20% is the most validated level, but you can probably take 10%, use it twice a day to get some efficacy. It will work well, but it's still just one ingredient. It will help brighten, it will help with your acne, but don't expect miracles from one ingredient.
Yeah, totally. Outside of azelaic acid, some of these other single ingredient heroes, I don't know, harder for me to be convinced. Also because I feel like I'm bound to just end up needing to layer like 5 different actives in this realm, and it just doesn't feel practical at all.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's more a test of whether or not these actives, I don't know, if your skin even likes these actives, then you can like dabble in other things maybe.
For sure. And the one thing in this category that I really want to like poo-poo on a little bit is the AHAs. AHAs are great. And we would say having AHAs in your pigmentation routine is almost a staple. Exfoliating is actually very important to your whole routine. But if you do your research, you might find these like AHA products being positioned as like standalone hyperpigmentation heroes. We would say they're good at brightening in general. They work on pigmentation on a very superficial level, and it's one aspect to pigmentation care. So yeah, that's that.
Yeah. So hopefully that gives you guys a sense of what's out there. To summarize, let's talk about putting it all together in a routine. Well, first things first, like we said, we called out, keep track of the niacinamide. And also just watch out for AHAs. That's another category that can kind of get carried away. You might find in a lot of different things, but just be mindful of how you want your AHAs to work. Are you looking for daily exfoliation? Are you looking for a more strategic weekly mask? That will probably give you some structure to how you're starting to build your skin cycling routine, I guess. But yeah, I think the thing that probably would help the most is figure out what is your main squeeze. For me, like I said, if I was going to shell out to do the Lytera and TNS, I'm going to be building everything around that.
Yes.
Right. So that, and then another avenue that a lot of people go down is retinoids. So that might be your starting point. You're going to frame everything around this product.
And last but not least, sunscreen.
Yeah.
It might be the colder months. You might be getting a little bit less sun, but sun exposure is still a big factor of what's keeping that dark spot around longer.
And I think that's also why sometimes people get confused when we say like, oh, I want to I want to tackle hyperpigmentation during summer. And for us, we always feel like focus more on the sunscreen habits rather than building in this huge routine during summer when you are going to still be getting that excess sun. Because no matter what, as much as you try, like sun is sun. We can't help it. There's going to be, with that, it's going to add to your hyperpigmentation scenario. So that's why we always want to reserve that build out for fall as like a more economical way, honestly, to go about this. Yeah. And then we should also mention vitamin C, ascorbic acid. It's a staple in everybody's routine. I think it's an easy preventive measure. Yeah.
It does it does help with actively brightening your skin. Yeah. But again, that's another one where if you're already having your routine, keep at it. Yeah. You can add your other pigmentation serums on top of it. But it by itself may not be like the thing that's going to do it for you.
Totally. And I think after going through all of this, I had one kind of interesting thought. Mm-hmm. I do feel like of all the types of skin concerns out there, I think hyperpigmentation might just be the most expensive. Mm-hmm. Just because of the combination of actives you want to try, right? Mm-hmm. And honestly, I will say I feel like this realm has the most data in terms of brands and testing that all come at a price that I feel like is actually substantiated. Mm-hmm. I feel like it's gonna cost me a lot more moolah to tackle this.
Yeah, for sure.
Than other concerns. So I don't know. I feel like that's kind of I was like, oh, I guess this is where I'll blow all my money.
Yeah, that's such a good point. And so, I mean, the takeaway from that is if you know you're prone to PAH or if you are genetically predisposed to that kind of conditions,
Asian.
Sunscreen's your friend. Vitamin C is your friend because prevention is still going to be a lot cheaper than TNS plus Lytera routine.
Hurts so good. All right. Well, we hope that was helpful for you guys. Definitely check out some of our previous blog posts. We've actually written a lot about this category, also in our book as well. But otherwise, you can find us on our website at chemistconfessions.com. Our Instagram, you can DM us at chemist.confessions. You can email us your questions at info@chemistconfessions.com. We are on TikTok, but we do not answer the DM. So if you do have a burning skincare question you'd like us to answer on the podcast, please leave them in the comments below. But otherwise, enjoy. I hope this was helpful. Bye. Bye.